One. Hello, we are Geeks Assembled, and we have assembled here once again. And this time we're going to the one that started it all, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And we are going to kick off straight with Beef Dad. What did you make of this film, Beef Dad? Did you enjoy it?
I first saw this film on its re-release. I was 4 years old, and due to something that had happened to me about a year before, when one particular scene happened in it, I screamed the cinema down. But this has been, I'll tell you about it later, but this is it's just brilliant. It really is brilliant. The music is great. It's really memorable. And yeah, I know it's the original. But when you consider it was the first time that this had been done, it is just brilliant. It is just absolutely brilliant. And the performances of the voice actors are superb. Adriana Castellotti playing Snow White is superb. I will always remember her singing down the well and the well echoing back at her, and it was just brilliant. Lucille Laverne playing the Queen, the evil stepmother Queen, which also a witch, just brilliantly done. Not just her as the Queen, but also as the evil old witch that she transforms into. And of course, you had the Seven Dwarfs. Superb performances. I just love every minute of it, even now. All these almost 100 years later.
Thank you for that, Beef Dad. Hi ho. It's off to Ethan we go. Go on, Ethan.
Yeah.
That's enough of that. Carry on.
Again, another childhood favourite of mine. This is a real... You're never going to get Disney films like this ever again, because they've all evolved so much over the years, but this one I just think is the original, just the proper original Disney film. Beautiful animation. And I just love the style, how the Snow White, the huntsman, the evil queen, and the prince, they're all drawn so beautifully, like very realistically. And of course the dwarfs are very cartoony, which is quite nice. And they used actual actors to sort of get the movements right of how they moved. Not a lot of people remember that, but they actually did get actors to play the parts, and they drew the movement. What beautiful end result. I mean, great songs, and the Seven Dwarfs are so hilarious. And I remember as a kid, I was terrified of that scene where the queen just turns into the witch. I mean, that is rated as one of the scariest scenes ever. Every kid was scared of that moment. Great Disney villain, beautiful ending. And is it wrong that I still cry at the end with Grumpy? Because Grumpy's my favourite. For a film of that time, great character development, from being this grumpy guy, living up to his name, not like in Snow White, to the fact that he warms to her, secretly likes her, but doesn't admit it, to the fact that he leads the charge in the final showdown with the Queen. It's just such beautiful character development. And then by the end, they're all there watching over her, and he's in the corner, bursting into tears. I still well up at that scene. My God, is that such a heartbreaking scene? But I mean, at the end where he gives her a kiss, oh, love it. But yeah, Beautiful film, beautiful Disney film. I mean, ultimate classic. That's all I have to say.
Wow, Ethan cries it. I mean, I'm too evil. Ever since I was young,
Of course you are.
I always like the evil queen, and I'm always on the evil side. In a Disney film, I always like the evil character, and I always want the evil character to win.
Yeah, but Grumpy, I can relate more. Being
Yeah,
grumpy,
but I couldn't care. I couldn't care less about.
Keep it.
I couldn't care less about Snow White or the dwarfs. For me, it's the evil queen. For me, it's
see
the
you
evil
dressed up like
queen.
her
I
now.
just love the evil queen. When you said that's like,
I'm sure Lee can agree with that one.
when you said the scary scene when she transforms into the witch. No, that's always been my favourite part, because I love all the evilness and things like that. It says a lot about me, doesn't it? But I'm from Wales, aren't I, Stephen Price? What do you make of this film?
Yeah, excellent film, classic. Wait. Sorry, I was interrupted. Way ahead of time, brilliant animation. Well, if anybody could tell me how long did it take to make this movie? How many years? Anybody know? No? Okay. Yeah, such a classic.
A long time.
Yeah. And it's the first time I seen it. Well, yeah, yesterday I watched it. First time I seen it since the mid-80s. Excellent film.
I thought then you were going to say it's the first time you've ever seen it yesterday. I thought,
well, no.
No, but you know something? The animators were actually paid, along with actual payment, hourly. They were actually paid more to put a gag in. So if they put a gag into the sketch, and it was a good gag, it's got to be a good gag, they would get paid extra for that gag. That's why Disney encouraged a lot of physical humor, and that's how he did it. And they did testing with all this before, because actually Ethan said that the dwarfs are very animated. Well, that's because the dwarfs were in another animation as well, but they all look the same. There was other Disney animations, there weren't films like this, were just shorts. And that's why they were so well animated. But this, they had to make them look unique. They had to make them look different. The human characters were the most difficult to do. It was like we know Snow White as Snow White, but back then they had to create this character new. I mean, they couldn't give her two big eyes, two massive eyes. Otherwise, she'd look too cartoony. They had to get it. They had to get it right. And actually, the film would have been quite different, but they didn't. They couldn't master getting the prince right. They struggled doing scenes with the prince in. They struggled doing scenes with the prince in. Otherwise, the prince would have been more throughout the film with the evil queen. Let's go to Lee, since he's unmuted.
Well, if there's anybody out there who would like to suggest where we can put some gags, I've got a few ideas. Shut the horse up sometimes.
Are you volunteering?
81 years old, this movie this year. 81 years old.
Nearly as old as you.
This, I've been told that this was the first movie I ever saw at the cinema. But I don't remember it because I was too young. I don't remember it. But apparently I was frightened. And it's universal for all. I don't think it is, because it is a bit scary with where she's lost in the woods and all the trees, sort of coming to life, and then say with the wicked evil queen, and but it's so well drawn, as you say. Walt Disney was a leader of his his industry. Without him, would the industry have gone on to what it's become now? I doubt it very much. Yeah, the songs are brilliant in this. You know, Someday My Prince Will Come and Wishing. That's brilliant with the Wishing Well. But it always reminds me of the Morecambe Wise sketch, which I put up in the chat the other day. I thought that was brilliant. Yeah, it's brilliantly drawn. As you say, you've got the cartoonish dwarfs. You've got the lifelike Snow White, the characters of the Queen and the Prince Charming. It's a Grimm's fairy tale told like it should be told. It's got to be scary, but it also has to have a happy ever after, which it got. So yeah, I enjoyed it, and it stood the test of time. 81 years old, and people are still falling in love with it now. The characters have become iconic. The dwarfs have become iconic. Snow White's become iconic. Everything. Well, nearly every Disney movie character is iconic these days. But this, as Alex said at the beginning, is where it all started. So yeah, brilliant movie.
And it was a passion. It was a passion project by him. He thought all of this in his head. He thought the whole film in his head, and then pitched it to his animators.
Yeah,
he thought the whole film from beginning to end in his head.
If he didn't have the passion to keep going and do it, I mean, this could have been totally different. If this was not a success back in 1937, what would have happened? Would he have carried on? Who knows?
Well, he might have not have had the money to carry on. This would have. I mean, this used a lot of groundbreaking technology as well.
Yeah, thank God it was a success, and it gave him more power to carry on, and more, enthusiasm.
They used that 3D layering that where you've got layers behind it, the transparent layers, which gave it depth, so the camera could pull out and stuff like that, which just makes watching the film even now still amazing. Let's go to Alex and Susan. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. I enjoy this movie. I sing the songs a lot. I used to drive down Prince Road in Redding, California, singing "Someday My Prince Will Come," and
he did.
Yeah. And I love the Seven Dwarves, and I love the Evil Queen. I love the apple effect. That was really sweet and dangerous and fun and intense. And yeah, it's just a beautiful piece of filmic history and literature, and I'm sure the Grimms would be really proud of this. So, okay, I know. Well, too romantic. Come on.
Yeah, I liked it better when I was younger, but there's only a few parts that I still like. Yeah, Grimm's fairy tales. There's a reason why they changed it and made it sweeter. Because Grimm's fairy tales is not very sweet. It's very gothic and very gruesome, especially Cinderella. They really changed it. I know it's a different movie, but yeah, I didn't like the beginning as much. The animation is great. The special effects are very good considering the time, with the screen overlay and all the other effects that we're doing. And it is funny. I mean, the ironic part is there's very much a human element into it, and it is very sweet. But yeah, for Grimm, this would be too romantic. But yeah, the Hi-Ho song is good. They're all singing in harmony. They all have a specific personality. It is creepy how the evil witch, changed herself into the evil elderly person, and then I don't know if that was a little bit of a warning not to accept things from strangers and all that, but it it did have a very sweet and happy ending, maybe too sweet an ending. But that's okay. I'm sure they didn't want to depress people.
And let's go over to Harry. What did you make of this film, Harry?
This is classic Disney. This is Disney the way it was done for so many years before they started getting away from doing hand-drawn animation and getting into the modern-day computer animation. This is classic Disney. Hand-drawn animation, the early stuff, I mean, you just cannot go wrong with a classic story like Snow White. It is true Disney classic. It is, as I said, it is the original Disney animated movie. Sure, there's animation that came out before Mickey Mouse and such, but you want to talk about classic animated movies? This is the first one. This is the one that kept the ball rolling, and you still see Disney coming out with classic animated movies today, even if they are doing updates and such with the princess movies and such, but it is still the movie when you talk about animation in Disney. It's the movie that basically put the stamp on animated movies. Snow White is the movie. It is a classic. I've seen it over the years. It just never gets bad. It's just something you just want to enjoy watching time and time again. It's not one of these hour-and-a-half movies. It's short, but it gets the job done. And that's the important thing with Disney movies. It doesn't have to be long, drawn out like you see with so many movies today. They go in, they get the job done. Fans love it. You can't argue too much with that. That is the way a good movie is to be done. As I said, it is classic. Anybody who hasn't seen it should see it. If you don't have it in your library, get it, because you are not going to be disappointed.
But Walt Disney was a master of knowing when to cut a scene, when to take a scene out, because actually there was a lot more of this film that they had actually filmed, that they had actually animated and done soundtracks for, and there was musical numbers that are not in this film that they recorded, but he cut them out because he realized if it doesn't add to the plot, if it doesn't add to the story, then it doesn't go in the film. It's got to add to the story. Let's go to Brian, because Brian hasn't had his say yet, and then we can throw the floor open.
What?
Are you with us, Brian?
What do you mean I haven't had a say yet?
Have you given your review?
Oh, yeah, right.
No. Go ahead then.
I didn't know what you meant until now. Okay. Right. So
It's too busy posting on Facebook because I've seen what keeps popping up on Facebook.
whatever. But anyway.
Yeah, ask him what's Snow White about.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, 1930s movie. This is actually my first time I've seen this film. I've never seen. I've never seen the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs movie until now. And I mean the only adaptation of Snow White as I've seen along with the Evil Queen is Once Upon a Time. That's the only thing I've seen until now. So, but honestly, I thought that this movie was a good, decent movie. I didn't think it was really an amazing, oh my god movie in the world, but I did enjoy it. I did like it. For the effects of the animation at the time, it was Well, it was good.
It was groundbreaking.
Yes, it was.
And it wasn't good. It still is good.
Well, yeah.
It isn't good. It's amazing.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
It isn't good. It's happy, sleepy, dopey, Doc, and bashful, and sneezy, and it's grumpy as all get out.
Well, you know, I was actually that's another thing. Out of all the dwarves, my favorite is Dopey.
Yes, I can believe that.
I was going to say, I'm not surprised.
You find you can relate to him the most.
Maybe.
He's actually got, if you noticed, he's actually got a funny walk. And that was put in there by complete accident. And then Walt Disney said, that's great. He's got to have that funny walk. So they had to go and redo all his bits that the other animators had done, because different animators worked on different scenes, even if it's with the same characters, they worked on different scenes. And they had to go back and do all those with Dopey again, because they had to add in the funny walk that was only in there in one bit because of a glitch by accident.
That's interesting.
Any more to add, Brian?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Don't let me stop you.
All right.
Oh, please, go for it.
No,
don't encourage him either.
No, I think that it was
Oh, you don't want to start thinking, Brian, not at your age.
I think it was a cool,
highly overrated.
I thought it was a cool, simple plot and story for a Disney film, and it still is. It lives up to its expectations. And I disagree on most of the scary elements with the film. I don't find it scary at all. So, I mean, like the forest scene, or even the evil queen scene, like where she turns into the old lady. I don't find that kind of stuff scary at all.
Would you find it scary if you was a 5-year-old watching this?
I don't know. We can't tell now, can we?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you was a little kid watching this, you would be scared witless, because that's what it was drawn. You know how it was made.
Yeah, when the trees are coming to grab her and things like that. Yeah, they're going into like claws, and she falls down.
I'm going to go in a time machine and give a VHS to him in the past. I'll be back in a minute to see what the result is.
No.
I can think of other things you could do with a time machine with him, but I'm not going to say it.
I love the film. It's a good film. Thumbs up.
One of the things, like I say, that I like about this film is the evil queen, because I do think the evil queen is the best thing about this film, and the look is so iconic. The look of the evil queen, I mean, she is the ultimate evil queen. She really is. The look, the way she is animated, the eyebrows, the lips, the entire thing. But actually, she looks very similar. And I wish I knew what the film was called, but she looks very similar to a film that was also around at that time. And it's possible that they actually took the character from there. Because the evil queen originally looked completely different. Absolutely. She was going to be an old fat lady, you know, very stubby. Think Lee, but in a wig. That was a bit harsh.
I think Lee is not amused.
I'm going to get it now. So yeah, for me, the evil queen's the best bit. Really is. I just love the evil queen. I mean, there's obviously a reason for that somewhere.
Well,
but,
you've always liked the evil queen no matter what anyway, Alex.
Yeah, I love the evil queen. Like you said in Once Upon a Time. I love the evil queen in Once Upon a Time. I always want the evil queen to win. This is the problem. So this film, because the evil queen doesn't win, means that it does have to get a score knocked off it, because I want the evil queen to win.
So it has got a drawback for you then.
It has, because I love the evil queen. I'm totally on her side. She wants to be the fairest one of all. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? So she wants to go and kill a young girl. What's wrong with that?
What are you talking about, Alan?
You watched the film on your brain. She wants to be the fairest one of all.
Yes.
And she realizes
where she talks to the mirror.
Yeah.
Okay, so her love interest is the mirror? Okay, I prefer, Snow White's love interest in Prince Charming. Okay? So, does that... I mean, that says something, right?
And wait there, because this is like a Star Wars moment, isn't it? Because everybody says the actual saying wrong, because it's not mirror, mirror on the floor, on the wall, who's the fairest of them all. It's mirror, mirror on the wall. I can't remember it now. It's gone from my head.
I don't think it goes like that.
What?
I said I don't think it goes like that.
Anyway, let's open the floor. Who wants to speak?
I'll tell you the story now of why I screamed.
Oh, great. We can have a nap now. There we go.
About a week before I was taken to see Snow White, I had woken up during the night in my car, looked up at the ceiling, and on the ceiling there was a great big rafter spider walking across the ceiling. And it fell and landed on my face. And I screamed the house down, obviously, when that happened. So then, something like 2 weeks later, my mother took me to see Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. You know the point where the queen has turned into the old woman, and she's walking through, there's the skeleton there, and she kicks the jug, and a massive spider crawls out of the jug and scuttles away. That was the point where I screamed the theatre down as well. The idea of big spiders scared the living daylights out of me then. But of course, one of the other things, you'll probably like this, Alid. The way that Lucille Laverne changed her voice from the Queen to the old lady was she took her dentures out. And of course, one of the other things about this is to have enough money to actually get the film done. Walt Disney actually had to mortgage his home. And he made so much profit from this that he was able to build Disney Studios. He'd had the original idea for this when he was 15. Snow White, the girl that played Snow White, he put her under a very, very, very tight contract so that she wouldn't perform in any other films or sing in any other, or sing publicly, because he wanted her voice to be purely Snow White, and that would only ever be remembered as Snow White. She did one little cheat away from that most people don't know about. But do you remember the Tin Man in Wizard of Oz? Where he's singing and there's a female voice comes out, "Wherefore art thou, Romeo?" Yeah? That was Snow White. Just a little bit of interesting stuff for you. But that was the only time she ever did a film. And of course, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was the first film that ever released a soundtrack.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And it also launched with merchandising as well, which films didn't do back then either.
It's the movie cost to make. The budget of it was $1.5 million.
But that would have been a lot back then.
Yes, and it grossed at the box office $418 million.
Oh wow! Wow! No wonder they had enough money to make a studio. Yeah. No, this
It was a success.
Yeah, this is the one that started it all. This generally is the one that started it all in a big way, in a massive way. Anyone else have anything to add? Any favourite moments or anything?
You gotta love Dopey, especially with the diamonds in his eyes.
Oh yeah. Well, that would have been a gag that would have got paid for. You see, they would have got paid for that. Yeah. Go on, Ethan. What was you going to say?
I was going to say, just quickly, in reply to Stephen Price's question, how long did the film take? It started production 1934, and it took about 3 years, because it came out in 1937. And you said earlier that they took a lot of scenes out, and they had recorded a lot of songs. And you just shook a few bats in the belfry, actually, because I had a video where there was a making after the film, and they had a song, I remember, where they sing about eating soup with a spoon. Yeah, and it's actually a really funny scene, but they had to cut it out because of time constraints and all that. But Dopey accidentally swallows the spoon, and they're like, oh, what's the matter with Dopey? He swallowed the spoon, and he's jumping, hiccuping, bouncing all over the place, and they're trying to grab him and everything. And it is a really funny song.
Yeah, and it's actually animated. It's not in colour, but it's actually animated.
It's drawn, but it's such a fun little scene. But yeah,
I wonder if it's in the. Is it in the Blu-ray version? I wonder. Is there a Blu-ray? They made the because they do these director's cuts there is full length and stuff like that. You know,
there is a Blu-ray version.
Yeah, we know there is a Blu-ray version, but all them scenes are on this, and that's just the 2-disc special edition on DVD.
Yeah, I watched the making of on YouTube, and it was really, really interesting. It was really interesting. Does anyone else have anything to add on this film? Harry, any more to add?
What?
Lee, what was you going to say?
Nothing new. Just that I wholeheartedly recommend this movie. Get out there, watch it, rent it, buy it. It's classic. It's mentioned from the first real Disney animated movies. You just can't go wrong with it. Plain and simple as that.
Exactly. Lee, what was you going to say?
Well, seeing as it was the first one, wasn't sort of distributed by Walt Disney because it sort of didn't exist at the time. It was distributed by RKO Radio Pictures. It wasn't Walt Disney who distributed it, it was RKO. So there's a little nugget for you.
Oh, I like my nuggets. Susan and Alex, anything else to add?
I mean, like I said, I've seen this at all different points. Now I'd probably say it's the way it was drawn and the witch and the musical by the Dwarfs is pretty funny, and the way they make the diamond shine is pretty funny. Yeah, but it's like I said, if it made him almost $1 billion, I guess that's good for him, or it was. I like some other ones that he did after that, but that's fine. I just don't know it's exactly loyal to the source material, but hey, that's what movies do. They embellish.
Anything else to add? Anybody else? Stephen?
Yeah, it's excellent film. I like the songs, except for one, which
Oh, go on. Which one did you like?
sang with me last week when I got up for work. I it's off to work.
Oh, I love that. That's my favorite song. I love that song.
Waking up as a zombie, like a zombie, going out on my way to work.
But how often has that been in films? Hi ho, hi ho. It's off to work we go. How often has that been in films or has been in TV shows? You know, it was in the Vicar of Dibley. They sang it in the Vicar of Dibley.
The other scene is the witch dying.
Yeah, falling off the cliff. Yeah.
I enjoyed that bit.
That was very well done with the rain and everything and the lighting.
Yeah.
The hi ho when it first appears in the film, it's not off to work we go.
No.
It's hi ho, off to home from work we go.
Yeah. It's not how
because they're going home from work.
Yeah.
That's how they sing it when they're going home.
Yeah.
That's still big.
Ethan, you were about to say something. You had your finger.
I sure do like male voices in harmony, and there's a lot of that beautiful music in this.
Again, I was just going to quickly say, Hi Ho, Hi Ho is my favourite song in the movie. But I always remember as well that it was used in Gremlins as well. When the Gremlins go to the cinema, they go to see Hi Ho and they start going, Hi Ho, it's after where we go. But
yeah, fascinating.
Just a little fun Gremlin reference.
Was Beef Dad going to say something? You muted.
Yeah, after they ran it at the New York City Radio Music Hall, after the run had finished, they had to replace a lot of the seat upholstery because so many young kids had been frightened by the scary moments, they'd wet themselves. So they had to replace a lot of the upholstery.
And you know that and people who watch our cast, that happens to them as well.
Oh, it happens all the time. Yeah.
Yes, especially the ones with Brian in.
Final say and score, Beef Dad. What's your final say and score?
It's a piece of magic. It's a piece of childhood. It doesn't matter how old you are. It stays with you all the way. So it's a gold-plated 10.
A gold-plated 10 from Beef Dad. Let's go to Alex and Susan.
I'll give it a 10 out of 10. Lots of childhood memories. That's amazing. The first soundtrack that I ever had.
Can we just wait a second? Alex, before you begin, a 10. Yep.
No, I like Cinderella and Fantasia better. Fantasia had scary moments as well. Yeah. So, and because it wasn't exactly close to the source material for Snow White, but
not meant to be.
But it wasn't meant to be. So I will give it an 8.5, just because it does have a lot of personality. It does have a lot of great special effects. It's funny how the story is so quickly resolved as well. But yeah, it does have some good musical numbers. I see why a lot of people like it. But I'd rather watch Fantasia or Cinderella Trying to remember a couple other ones. Escape to Witch Mountain is one I also liked as well.
Good
Hercules.
film. Good
And
choice.
and also the Goofy cartoons,
Yeah.
especially the ones where how to ski and how to camp, and I love the gentle sarcasm in those.
And Frozen. Let's go to Stephen Price.
Yeah, it gets a 10 from me. 10 out of 10.
Let's go to Brian.
Okay.
Final say and score.
Okie dokie then. Let's see. My final say and score for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs will probably have to be. I probably would have to give this an 8 out of 10.
An 8 out of 10. Walt Disney will be turning in his fridge. Let's go to Harry. Final say and score.
My score, I'm going to have to beat that on this one. Diamond plated 10 out of 10.
Let's go to Ethan.
True classic. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It is the definitive Disney movie.
Ethan.
Oh, it's a 10 out of 10. Enough said.
Oh, there we go. Short and sweet. Lee.
Seeing as I do like other Walt Disney ones better.
Like Frozen. Yes, I know, Lee. I know.
No. But yeah, it's iconic. It's the one that started it all. But for me personally, I do like others better. So this one will get 8.5 dwarfs out of 10.
Yeah,
And I
but
don't know how you get half a dwarf.
no, that's a mystery. No. Yeah, but you can't judge it against other Disney films because it's not fair. You should really judge it on its own. If you liked it on its own.
I am judging it. I'm just saying it's a good movie. I like it, but in my preference,
Lee, stop being awkward and give it a 10.
No.
Come on, give it a 10. Just say 10. We could be here a very long time, you know. We could be about, just give it a 10. Just say 10.
I can end this cast just like that, you know. Over to you.
So what aren't you going to give it?
I'm not giving it that. I'm giving it an 8.5.
You're giving it a 10. Thank you for that, Lee. It's the one that started it all. I said earlier that I was going to knock points off because the Evil Queen is not in it the whole way through and doesn't end up winning and living and, you know, dominating the world with her evilness. But I can't give it anything else but a 10 because if it wasn't for this film, we wouldn't have the rest of the Disney lineup. I mean, who would own Hollywood? I mean, literally, Disney own everything because of this film. Disney own Marvel, Disney own Fox, Disney own this, Disney own that, you know, and it's all because of this film. So this film was the start of the Disney controlled world we live in.
Well, in that case, it gets a 2.
Yeah, it gets a 2.
I'm not. It gets a 2. It's world domination. I don't want to know.
Why don't you want to dominate the world, Lee?
I already do.
World domination.
No, I'm going to give it a 10. It has to get a 10. Of course it does. I mean, the film is absolutely iconic. The songs are iconic. And the Evil Queen, she's the ultimate evil queen. And this inspired, you know, Once Upon a Time, which I absolutely love until series 7, but I love 1 to 6. And Regina in that as the Evil Queen, it's just amazing. She needs to be if they're going to do a live action version of this, or another one, I should say, because you've got the Huntsman and stuff like that. But it's Lana Parrilla, isn't it? She needs to be the evil queen in a film because she is amazing. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, tell us below what you think of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Hit that subscribe button. What are you going to say, Lee? Quickly.
And please comment below if you thought Snow White was a bit selfish when she just buggered off at the end and left the dwarfs.
You're a bit hurt by that, aren't you, Lee?
That's a fair point, actually. Yes.
She just jumped on the horse and buggered off. She slept in the beds. She did all this, do that, and she just buggered off and left them. Sorry.
Sorry, excuse me. You telling me you can't move out on your roommates? You telling me that your roommates are your eternal friends and forever thing? Really, Lee?
Can I add something else? In this day and age,
they did plan a sequel, Snow White Returns.
Really?
It never got out of pre-production.
Yeah, Snow White Returns. It doesn't have the same ring to it, does it? Snow White Returns.
She came back as a ninja warrior in that one.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that insight, Lee. But in today's world, I'm not gonna say it. Anyway, thanks for being here today, and you crazy people for making it to the end of this video. You lone person, you lone one person still watching this. Look after yourself. Take care. And we'll see you next time.